अचिन्त्यमव्यक्तमनन्तरूपं शिवं प्रशान्तममृतं ब्रह्मयोनिम् तथाधिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकं विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम् अचिन्त्यमव्यक्तमनन्तरूपं शिवं प्रशान्तममृतं ब्रह्मयोनिम् तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकं विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम्. Inconceivable, achintyam, avyaktam, unmanifest, anantarupam, of infinite forms, shivam, auspicious, prashantam, perfectly calm, amrutam, immortal, brahmayonim, womb of Brahma, the creator, also without a beginning, middle, and end. Adi madhyanta vihinam. Ekam, one. Vibhum, all pervading. Chidanandam, knowledge bliss. Arupam, formless. Adbhutam, wonderful. Now, you must be wondering why he is giving these various descriptions. As you remember in the previous mantra, the fifth mantra, he spoke about meditation. And whenever they talk about meditation, they follow it up with giving you essential pointers, tools, aids to meditate. Simple logic. They just follow a logical, rational thought process. So they tell you to meditate, when you should meditate, and on what to meditate. Is exactly like when you inviting somebody to your home. You have an occasion, you invite somebody to your house. And when you invite, you also send the directions to your home, isn't it? Because they have never been to your home. So you give them the location and the direction. Exactly the same logic and rationale. Having spoken about meditation, they're giving indicative definitions that point towards the reality on which you should meditate. If you are ready to meditate, these pointers will be inspiring. Otherwise, they are a matter of mere information. Now, that's a subjective reaction you would have based on where you are in the spiritual ladder. The higher you are, you would find these are very useful tools to meditate. If you are not as evolved, these may not help you. But however, it's academic. It's good to know what that truth is. So he starts off by saying achintyam. Achintyam means it's inconceivable. It's inconceivable because the consciousness is not an object of conception. The pure consciousness is that very subject that facilitates you to conceive. It also facilitates the mind to feel. It also enlivens the body to perceive. So since the pure consciousness enlivens the body, mind, and intellect to perceive, feel, and conceive, it is the subject and not the object. Since Brahman is not an object of conception, Brahman is inconceivable. As simple as that. It doesn't matter how brilliant your intellect is, how wise your intellect is, it cannot be conceived. Brahman cannot be conceived. Is exactly like the eye of the telescope. The eye, you use your eye to see through the telescope the furthermost of points, but you can't see the very eye, because the eye is the very subject that lends perception in perceiving the furthermost of objects, but it can't perceive itself. You can also extend the idea to understand clearly. The waker is inconceivable to the dreamer. There are two different realms of experience. The moment the dreamer claims to conceive the waker, he is no more the dreamer, he becomes the waker. Exactly the same way, the waker cannot conceive the self as long as you are the waker. You can't conceive Brahman, inconceivable. But then in spite of this, why are we trying to understand it? So that see, knowing well that is inconceivable, why is the subject matter Brahman constantly being discussed, constantly being studied, constantly being reflected on, knowing well that the Brahman cannot be captured by the intellect? If it can't be captured, then why are we exercising all of this? Only to fail, is it? It's like people who have tried to scale the mountain, the best, the most successful mountaineers. They've scaled all the mountains in the world. They have given almost an authoritative opinion that this mountain cannot be scaled. It's inhuman. You cannot scale. And yet everybody is trying to scale and then fail, because the best of them can't scale, whereas you and I, man. So I want a more precise points than a generic thing, as Sidhuji is saying, to evolve. Yes, the effort is to evolve. But what would be the finer reasons why we are exercising the intellect, knowing well the Brahman cannot be captured by intellect? What are the reasons? Harish, can I ask you? Any idea?
Hariam Guruji. No, Guruji, I don't have an idea actually. I'm not sure. Guruji.
All right. No problem. Can Vijayji give one reason?
Pranam Guruji. Well, I was only thinking that the very journey would make us better, which means, in other words, you said, don't give that as a reason. But I think if everyone attempts seriously this and a journey and seeks inwards and tries to realize the Brahman, overall the entire society would become better.
I don't know
I
about
can't
the
think of
society,
anything
sir.
else.
Sir, I'm sorry to butt in, but I know I will become better. I don't know whether the society will become better, because this is an individualistic transformation. I'm not here to reform the world. I'm here to reform myself. in the
Guruji,
process.
what I meant is not our attempt to influence others. If everyone seeks such a journey, overall it will be a better thing. I mean, that's what I meant.
Okay. But I must say the answer has become far more generalized than
True.
the earlier thing.
True.
So the question is very, very precise, is if the intellect cannot conceive Brahman, then why are we struggling to engage the intellect on the subject matter of Brahman, trying to understand the subject matter? Because the essence of the Shastras only talks of Brahman. So you are constantly using your intellect with the subject matter on Brahman when it is established that it is inconceivable. The reason is why? What are the reasons? So if we could be very specific to this, but whoever is answering can give 1 point so that others can bring out any other pointers. Okay. And please refrain from using the chat box until you're sought. So let everybody think independently. Okay. Setuji? Yes, sir. Hariom, sir.
It is natural for us to see something. There is always a calling, and something in us tells we are missing something. We want to go back to the source.
Okay.
There is something beyond all this, and it's a natural thing that crops up to everyone sometime or other, and so we want to know how to go back to the source, and what is that. Or another is curiosity that who is that who has conceived this center, who is the creator, who is the one who is running the show. So we are in search of him.
So therefore, are you saying, I know that there are a certain class of seekers who come for mere curiosity. Now, we're not talking of information hunters here. We are talking of genuine seekers. And let's say we all are genuinely trying to understand the Shastras, to evolve, as you rightly said earlier. So we are not information hunters.
Not an apt word I have used, but something, the search, the quest.
All right. Okay, Setuji, right. US.
It's only through the known you can reach the unknown. Only through the subject. Only when you reach the when you know the known, you can go beyond to know the unknown.
That's true, but how does that answer the question? What's the question, please?
Why are we learning about the
I thought so. Why are we engaging the intellect with the Shastras, which covers the theme, which is Brahman?
Yeah.
When the text itself says Brahman is inconceivable. So it's almost futile, man. What are you doing? A sensible fellow will not do it, because they're saying you can't conceive it. And yet all the time we are trying to understand and conceive Brahman with the intellect. So,
but we were told that through the intellect only you can conceive Brahman.
who told you? Throw him aboard. Check him out of the classroom. Who told you that?
No, we are trying our best to evolve, sharpening the intellect.
For what? End of the day, it's useless. You can't conceive Brahman.
Yeah, only when you reach there, you will know that there's something beyond that.
I am telling you now, why you have to wait till that point? Now only I'm telling you, no, don't waste any more time with this text or the teacher. Not it seems a waste of exercise. I'm sorry, I'm telling you after 15 years or a little more. I should have told you the day one itself. It seems contradictory. That's the whole examination, but there isn't a contradiction. That's why I'm saying, why are we engaged in this study? Because it certainly has a profound benefit. Otherwise, the whole exercise is a big farce, is a big joke. It can't be. It's too auspicious a thing to be treated so lightly. So there is certainly a reason. So I'm only trying to ask what are the reasons. Okay, Shama? Right. Hariji?
Since it is inconceivable and indescribable, the Guru, the Rishi has to give some pointers to inspire his Shishyas or the seekers so that he will strive, because these are the only ways by which he can give an idea. Why should the student pursue? So he needs some pointers. These are the things which I can achieve. So he gets inspired. Without inspiration, that is whatever it may be, even in the conventional material studies, unless there is some inspiration, we will not be able to proceed.
Sir,
Otherwise,
this pointer is most demotivating. A teacher is telling the student, you will never pass. Nobody has passed, you will never pass.
Yeah.
Is that what? How can a student be motivated to say, I guarantee you will not pass? Nobody has ever passed, nobody will ever pass. So past, present, future, such a condition is being laid. How can the student say, oh, I will prove my teacher wrong and I'll pass the exam? That is intellectual arrogance. We have to bow down to the gurus, don't we? So
no,
obviously
the guru,
this...
the guru is giving to uplift his consciousness.
All that understood, sir. All that understood, sir. You're going again out of context. There has to be, I'm very clear, there has to be the line of the barrel and the target. Don't go off target. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but
he is trying to lift the student from the transcendental to the worldly realm to the transcendental realm, terrestrial to transcendental.
Idella poetics, sir. Idella poetics, sir. Let's leave that aside. It's out of purview of the. It's out of purview of the question. Okay, please think along with me, sir. All right, sir. Thank you, Shivaji.
Hari Om. My camera is not on due to some reason. I need to get it fixed. So I just want to share it. And then, yeah, we can only infer the infinite through the finite what we have. And if we start counting to the infinite, how it can lead to from 1 to infinite, you go on counting, it doesn't take us anywhere. But the only way is what is available with us through that. That's what Shama shared. What is already available with us, the tools, what is available, that only will be in a position to identify the infinite. We can only identify, we cannot reach. That's what I think I understand, because it is there. But only when you strive with the available tools, there is a possibility. Yes, we can identify it more and more. We get expanded as we understand better about it. But still, it is a long distance. That's what my understanding.
All right. All right, sir. Point noted. RPG.
Can you see the hand today?
No, I can't. I was
You
just
can't?
saying you have to move the thing little bit to the right. Yeah.
This way.
Yeah. Or you just
Okay, I'll
turn
get with
you
I'll
just
get with the
turn
chief.
the no, you just turn this the monitor screen little bit towards your left, then it would come.
My left?
Yeah. There now it comes. That's all you need. That's the reason you need
I'll
a guru.
get-
I've been telling you need a guru. I've been telling you, but what to do.
I'll get with the chief engineer.
Sir, it's already sorted out. You don't need any more engineer. Surrender to the guru is required. Yes, RPG. Go ahead, please.
So the only thing I can add is, so just to make sure, if the intellect cannot engage the Brahman, conceive it, why do we engage the intellect to try to conceive the inconceivable Brahman, right? So I can only tell you from my personal perspective, why I started the journey is because there was a void. So to fill that void, I sought something else, even though I had no concept of what it was. And then after that, it was a series of the learning that came after that, getting up in the morning, coming to the satsang, so forth and so on. But the reason that I even thought about or engaged with something that was completely inconceivable is because there was a void in my life, given everything that was there.
No, I can relate to you entirely, and you're absolutely right. But still, my search for the answer continues. My quest continues. Somebody used the word quest, no? My quest continues. Vijayji.
I'll try the second time, Guruji.
Oh, it's second chance for you. Okay.
First time anyway, it was too generalized perhaps. See, when we realize that there is no answers anyway in anything else in the world, there are no true happiness derived out of all the other things. There is nowhere else to go, and then we have to seek something. And that, so I think we know intellectually that this is the only way to attain realization, and so we seek. Because there is no alternative, in the sense, if and when we realize there are no permanent, solutions in the the world around.
I'm sorry to say you've exhausted your chances, sir.
Okay, I tried.
Right, sir. Thank you. Gayatri Ma.
Guruji, it is just an indication for us, or a pointer, that we should not stagnate over there, because the intellect is the last tool available with us, and the majority of the people will stagnate. So it's a warning given to us that it is inconceivable by intellect. You'll have to go beyond that, or be available for that experience.
An interesting idea. I wouldn't have thought that way. Interesting. All right. Vasantama. Yes, ma.
Hari Om Guruji. Was 1 month. Guruji, see, all along we have been told we are already at the meditation stage. So it's all pointers for meditation. So when we realize that we are the self, And when we experience all these qualities with our intellect, we try to, we already experience a few good things. So, and this pointers only will, this is being described so that we experience the self. We are the self, so it's being kept on telling to us so that we finally realize the self. And we already, with small things, we can experience a little bit of the self. So it encourages us to go beyond that.
You made a beautiful point, but it doesn't answer the question. The question, I'm repeating again, is the point being said is Brahman is inconceivable, and right throughout the study of the Shastras is exercising the intellect to understand Brahman. Why are we doing it? Doesn't it seem the effort as a waste of exercise, because you would not be able to conceive it? So why are we engaging the intellect is the question. But your answer in generic answers, but in particular, it doesn't clarify. Okay, Ma. Lakshmi Ma.
I'm going to attempt. I see 2 points, Guruji, because one is we need the intellect to discriminate, like between the real and unreal, right? So we need it. We need the intellect to discriminate what is real and what is unreal. The other one is we also need the intellect to control our mind, to keep the senses away, to keep our mind calm so that we can meditate. So when we are in these 2 stages, we engage the intellect for these 2 reasons. And with the Shastras showing us the path, we can get closer to reach to merge with the inconceivable Brahman. Does that make sense?
I must say you're the only one who made sense so far.
Oh, really? I feel honored. No, I was just thinking as I was.
No. See, it's important that you think in line to the question. In short, the question is simple and blunt. Why are we studying the scriptures? Why are we engaging with the intellect when we know we can't get the absolute fruit, which is the Brahman, because he says inconceivable? The benefits are exactly as you have said. It is essential. In fact, it's paramount for our life, a human conduct. Intellect is paramount. Life cannot go on without an intellect. To begin with, to control your senses, to handle your mind, even you put the intellect to the ultimate extent where you engage it with the discrimination between the real and unreal. Whatever, you use it in the mundane activities or you engage it in the scriptural study, you need the intellect. So the journey without the intellect doesn't lead you anywhere. That's what the Shastras tell us, the importance of the intellect. So, but while you are developing the intellect, one of the fundamental reasons why they say intellect cannot conceive Brahman is you will develop intellectual arrogance. When knowledge comes in, unknowingly you develop an arrogance of the notion of knowing things. So to curb that arrogance which crops out of the intellectual knowing, they give a knock on your head and say the best of intellect cannot conceive Brahman. So understand your limitation. Don't jump with excitement with all that discriminative ability or analysis of yours. Your intellect still is not, cannot reach Brahman. So they tell inconceivable to tell you to curb your intellectual arrogance. Also to convey that the real experience of spirituality is not an intellectual experience, it is a becoming, as Vasantama said, you become the self. It is an inner experience, it's an inner state. It's not an intellectualization. So one is you don't develop arrogance. Secondly, we are constantly engaging our intellect, strengthening the intellect through the study to burn off the ignorance in the form of your vasanas and desires. Because the knowledge and the wisdom is an antidote for ignorance in the form of desires and vasanas. And if that ignorance is not dispelled, you wouldn't evolve spiritually. So one is, it is told, in fact, you can say 3 points. One is, as Lakshmi Ma said, you need the intellect to control the mind, the senses, to give you a direction to life. It also, you understand that intellect should not develop any arrogance. Therefore, it says it is beyond the intellectual experience. Therefore, they say it's inconceivable to put a check. It's like, you have these, Reddy Garu, what do you have in these heaters or coolers? Thermostat, is it? So they don't overcool or overheat. Is it a thermostat?
Yes, thermostat. Guruji.
Thermostat. And how does a thermostat work, sir?
It's an element where the temperature is being set to that particular temperature. Like when we say 25 degrees centigrade, the moment the temperature reaches 25 degrees, it gives an indication to switch off the system. It is a sensitive element.
So we can say inconceivable, this pointer is a spiritual thermostat. It just to cut off your intellectual arrogance. It just tells, come on, there's a limitation. That's all you can do. You can't go beyond that. It controls it. It is a controlled state, isn't it? Because the best of intellects cannot conceive Brahman. We understand that. So to curb the arrogance, and thirdly, to burn off the ignorance in the form of vasanas and desires.
But Guruji, here, while we are mentioning that, earlier you mentioned that when you say that there is no answer and Shishyas cannot get motivated, but while we mentioning that Brahman is inconceivable, but still we have the motivation to understand the Shastras, and we are trying our best to go into that path. How is this miracle is going to happen here? In general, since when you say you're going to fail, definitely you don't look at Guru, now look at the site of the direction itself. When you know the result is very pretty clear.
No, see, that was only an analogy, but the reality is Brahman is not an intellectual experience. Just to curb that, just to convey that, that's the primary reason. If you want to hit the nail on the head, the reason why they say inconceivable is don't bring down Brahman to a mere idea or a concept where a brilliant scientist can decode it on their drawing board and say, I've grasped it. You cannot grasp it. You have to transcend the very intellect to reach that state. So it is not a mere intellectual exercise. That's the primary reason. Now, why we are, in spite of it saying it's not a mere intellectual exercise, why are we going through this intellectual exercise? Also, we are told the most auspicious hour in the day, you sit and exercise your intellect. Why? The 2 benefits we have said, 3 benefits. Gives you capacity to control your mind and your senses. It helps you to not develop an intellectual arrogance. Thirdly, it also helps you to remove your ignorance in the
ignorance.
form of vasanas and desires. These are the direct benefits. So this enthuses us to go through. Ultimately, we reach a state where the intellect itself disintegrates. Because remember, as you know, so when a Christian, when he goes into the church, what is it he does last before he starts his prayer? Like, what does a Hindu do when he enters the temple?
We remove our slippers and get into the
You remove
temple.
your footwear.
Footwear.
The footwear symbolize your mind and intellect. And a Christian would invariably remove his hat. The hat is what? Hat symbolizes the intellect. So the last thing that you transcend before you reach the self is the intellect. You know, there's a connection between this and vasana manifests. Where does a vasana manifest? Okay, Reddy Garu, you okay with this?
Okay.
Right, sir.
Yep.
Ramji, where does vasana manifest?
Very good. Vasana manifests in a thought in the mind, which eventually becomes a desire. It is a thought in the intellect, which becomes a desire in the mind.
Correct. So vasana manifests as a thought in the intellect and becomes a desire in the mind.
Correct.
Now the first thing that manifests as a thought in the intellect, the last thing that goes is the
intellect, thought, and the intellect.
The thought and the intellect. The last thought is the intellect. The first manifestation of vasana is a thought in the intellect.
Yeah.
You must draw a parallel in the two.
So it's a return journey. So it has to go back in the same steps. Yeah.
I would never have said that the way you have described, sir. Correct. It's a return journey, sir. So the first thing you see when you come onward is the last thing you would encounter on your way back.
Yeah.
Amazing. So are you able to rationalize with the idea, sir? The question?
Yes, sir. Very much. Very much.
Right. So the exercise is not futile. It's all well thought over and well.
But I think the person has to understand that at the beginning. Otherwise, he will feel, why am I being put through all this? So that's where I think perhaps the guru plays the role, that this is the necessary for you to go through the intellect, using the intellect to pass these phases and then go beyond the intellect type of a thing.
Intellect, yes. See, they don't put it in as many words. That's a problem. Unless until it is brought it out in a digestible form, it becomes a mere ornamental idea. It doesn't unless until we decode it this way, we may not look at it that way, isn't it, sir?
Correct.
Okay. Right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Aparna Garu, sorry, you have been wanting to say something, please.
Guruji, it is the same thing over a period of time, what you said. So when you said that, as per the scriptures, Brahman cannot be felt, experienced, or conceived. Yeah, in your previous discussions also, you also said that you have to become the Brahman. It's not that, you conceive something or experience something. Knowing something is not becoming the Brahman. The quest to become the Brahman is what is the ultimate. For example, if you want to become a soldier, so thinking about the soldier, thinking about what he does, or going to gym and becoming, developing some, biceps and all, doesn't make you the soldier. You have to become the soldier. You have to protect this, something like that. So Brahman is not something that you experience it. Brahman is something that you become.
He spoke like a soldier. I rather don't say anything. Apara Garu? Reddy Garu will endorse whatever I'm saying. Please don't endorse. Please agree with me.
100% Guruji. It's sharp like a bullet. It just pierces
Yeah,
through.
I rather don't say anything. So I simply said, Namaskaram, Hari Om, Apara Garu. That's all I'll say.
Whether it is passed through our head or overhead is a different matter.
That is your problem. I have shot the bullet. You take it or not. I have done what I have to do. Right, sir. Right. So moving on, first he said Achintyam, then Avyaktam. Avyaktam is unmanifest. Now the concept of unmanifest comes only with reference to manifestation. The world we perceive, feel and conceive is the manifest, and Brahman cannot be limited to the periphery or the parameters of the manifested world. Therefore, they say the true Brahman or the reality is that which is unmanifest. And the moment we say unmanifest is that which supports the manifest. That's the connection between the unmanifest and the manifest. So the manifested world of things and forms is supported by the unmanifest Brahman or the reality. And a classic example of the unmanifest reality supporting the manifested world is Shivalinga. Is an example. Whenever you worship the Lord Shiva in a temple, Shivalinga, you must be reminded of this. Kashish, are you understanding the example of Shivalinga to the concept of the unmanifest reality supporting the manifested world, the unseen supporting the seen?
Not quite, Guruji. The first thing that comes to mind is the idol versus ideal aspect of it. So
no, that's not the concept. But the Shivalinga, okay, when you see a Shivalinga, you know what a Shivalinga is, isn't it? You know what a Shivalinga is? You've seen in a temple, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what you see a Shivalinga is the seen portion, right? So the seen portion is supported by the unseen portion. So what you see is a half ellipsoid.
Oh, like an iceberg.
Yes, exactly. You got it. So what you see is the, in fact, if the height of the scene, a iceberg is, let's say, 10 meters, the unseen also has to be more or less the same, isn't it? Is it greater or lesser or same?
It's usually greater or the same.
Greater, it can't be lesser because it can't support it, isn't it? It's either greater or the same. So the seen is supported by the unseen. So now you understand the Shivalinga is exactly the same. Is the seen portion of the iceberg is supported by the unseen iceberg, which is submerged in the waters. So the manifested world is seen, is supported by the unmanifest Brahman, Avyaktam. Isn't that astounding? Isn't that, my hair stands on it as I say that. It's just staggering. So then, okay, therefore, this is a matter of fact. What should be the practice for you? How can you convert this into a practice? See, anything in the Shastras can be converted into an abhyasa, means a practice, a sadhana. Either it's a statement of fact or it's a statement of practice. One is a statement of fact, as we said, everything manifested is supported by the unmanifest Brahman, statement of fact. Now, how should I convert into a practice? Like whenever you see an iceberg or a Shivalinga, what could you be reminded of, Kashish?
I imagine it would be another practice in intellectual humility, in knowing that everything you can see, there's probably much more that you can't see. And that the practice of that humility of surrendering to what you don't know.
That's interesting way of putting it, looking at it. But what you would be reminded of that which supports it, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that too.
Like
That
you
makes more
don't get carried away or enamored by the beauty of the manifest. You silently attune to that which supports the manifested, because the tree can't stand without the roots which supports it. So you're reminded of the unmanifest. So you don't get carried away with the manifested. So you gain a certain sense of objectivity. So the quality you develop is you don't get carried away by the manifested world. You develop objectivity. Otherwise, you get carried away by the scene. Is like a lady getting carried away by the various ornaments. The husband says, how does it matter? You are just taking it as an investment for gold. Whether it's a bracelet or an anklet or this or that, what does it matter? Why are you getting carried away? It is just gold. Gold has no form. Why are you get carried away by the form of an ornament, man? So you don't get carried away. I can see a subtle smile on Ramji, and Ushama is laughing. It means there's something to be clarified, which I shall clarify later on.
No, I just was wondering how
okay.
you came to know a discussion that takes place between me and Usha.
So the moment I said that, both of you only smiled. Everybody were very seriously taking notes, sir. You both smiled, and you know.
Yeah, correct. So I always say that it is only an investment. It is only gold. Don't worry about the form. Just pick it up.
So all great men think alike, sir. Now, Ushama, you're also in the thing. Huh? It's not that I'm saying only with Ramji. Please don't mistake me. Huh? Right. So the example we can take to this concept is about the Shivalinga, about the iceberg, and then the example of gold and ornaments. And the abhyasa would be you develop objectivity. You don't get carried away with the manifest. You slowly get in tune with the unmanifest. Because the nature of the manifested world, RPG, what is the nature of the manifested world?
Fleeting, impermanent.
Impermanent. So
impermanent.
It doesn't last. It doesn't last. So a person who is carried away by the fleeting or the impermanence, does he have any spiritual element in him? He gets tossed, isn't he? He's just swayed by, the happenings. But one who can see the permanence, which is the unmanifest, which is not destroyed, which doesn't pass, which doesn't change. So he silently attunes to the unmanifest, then getting carried away. You play the role in the manifest while you're anchored in the unmanifest. So this becomes the abhyasa. This is the practice I'm saying. So it can be a continuous sadhana. If we are ready to use these as a tools, it can become a continuous sadhana. Otherwise, it's a matter of information.
So, Guruji, is the unmanifest not, is it equally as inconceivable when, you know, when, so I had a question as we were in the last piece said, is there a difference in conceiving something and believing it? So having faith in, can you have faith in the inconceivable?
Absolutely. You have to have. How can you not have faith in the journey? No? That's why we say the head complements where the heart cannot, and the heart complements where the head cannot. No, so that doesn't mean your heart can feel God. No, heart cannot feel God either. But it is to it gives a support. It makes the exercise far more wholesome when you're able to connect with emotion as well. You know, you feel the beauty of the creator in its creation. Where do you recognize the creator? Is it not in his creation? It could be the crispness of the air in the morning, the quietude of the early auspicious hour. It could be the bird chirping, the flower blooming. It could be the monsoon, the clouds pouring up. It could be the beautiful rainbow in the sky. It could be the bright sunshine. You can start admiring. Can't you not be triggered to that divinity when you see the splash of divinity around? It is, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You know, other day I was just planting a little seed. You know, I was doing that, which I was saying, make sure the layer of soil you put is not too much, you know. And as I was putting, I was just amazed that how that little seed, when it starts sprouting, has the strength to push the soil aside and come out. And yet it is so tender, so fragile. If you were to try and hold it, it breaks, it dies. How so tender, so soft, has the strength to push the soil aside and emerge. Isn't that a miracle? Isn't that a play of divinity? So you can go into raptures. You can literally go into praising divinity in every aspect of creation. And for that, so you need a heart. And your heart feels the divinity and the providence around you. You can't rationalize everything, sir. Can you rationalize everything? Cannot. So you have to have faith. You need to attune to the self through the head, through the heart. Again, the only reason is to knock off the ignorance as a barrier between me and God, which is the vasanas and desires. That goes off. That's the objective. Okay, RPG?
Yes, Guruji, thank you.
Sidhuji?
Guruji, can we extend this analogy of unmanifestness also to, you know, behavior of irrational, emotional behavior of certain individual whom we cannot normally accept to be the reason is unmanifested vasanas are being exhibited through them and accept them. A terrorist, criminal, and anyone whom we don't tolerate. Can we say unmanifested vasanas are vasana, they are helpless. It is.
How would it help in our spiritual conduct?
No, we become objective because we get along with everyone. We accept, we understand them, and because vasanas are because we understand why people are born again and again, and why how these vasanas are playing a big role. Why we should burn off vasanas, and all this. We are able to understand the purpose of life, and also able to so the happenings don't disturb us, and we don't waste our time in getting deeper into those happenings. Focus on our journey.
Absolutely. I think you're giving another avenue or area where you can apply. You understand that it's the behavior or the particular nature of a person is because of the unmanifest vasanas. In fact, everything is nothing but the vasanas. It could be the kindness of a person, it could be the cruelty of a person, isn't it the vasanas? So you have to accept it. And in fact, on another note, it is interesting, staggering to know, Vijayji sent me that what is below the water of an iceberg is at times 9 times what is seen outside. Kashish is 9 times. Huh? Staggering, isn't it? And in order to get to know, you must go into the depths of the waters. Similarly, you want to get to the magnitude or the profoundness of the unmanifest, you must get into the depths of this philosophy. You must embrace this knowledge, gets into the deep bowels of this literature, go deep into them to understand the profoundness of the unmanifest. It's okay, Hariji. I know this message has touched you so much that tears are rolling down Hariji's eyes. It's okay, it's okay, it's fine. And don't give any rational explanation for that. We don't want any explanation. We just, I know.
I have some eye problem.
I told you don't give a rational explanation.
Okay.
You don't listen to what Guru says. Tell you, never mind. I will try my luck with the next pointer. Of infinite forms. Ananta Rupam. This is what exactly I said, RPG. Infinite forms have emerged from that one reality. Now, where do you relate? How do you relate of the reality or to the reality? How can you relate it? You relate to the reality only in the infinite forms. So you perceive Brahman in the infinite manifested forms. The Brahman is there in multitudes of expressions. Harish, you know the poem Abu Ben Adam?
No, Guruji, I don't know this poem.
Today you are in a stance of know or don't know. Huh?
It's very the information is so deep. There's a lot to digest. So I'm processing a lot actually today.
No, so sweet. You're always so sweet. You know the poem Abu Ben Adam. Abu Ben Adam woke up one day from a dream and he saw an angel sitting on a window. Don't wake up midnight to see an angel, Harish. It's just a poem. Huh? So,
Yes, Guruji.
so suddenly he woke up and he saw an angel sitting on a window. And Ben Adam asked, Abu Ben Adam asked, what writest thou? He said, I am the messenger of the Lord, and I'm writing names of those who love God. And gently, politely, Abu Ben Adam asked, is my name in the list of those who love God? And the angel went to the list and said, nay, not so. Your name doesn't appear anywhere in the list. And Abu Ben Adam requested to write down. He said, I don't know what love for God is, but I have love for fellow beings. I love his creation. So please write my name as one who loves his fellow beings. And the angel promptly wrote and disappeared. Next day, the story goes, the angel reappeared, and lo, Ben Adam's name led all the rest. His name came on top of all those who claim to love God. They were much later, but Ben Adam, who claimed to love his fellow beings, his fellow men, his fellow creatures. So love for God is unknown. The only way you can love God is to love the infinite forms, the infinite manifested forms, because God is unmanifest, is inconceivable, as we are learning. So there is a lesson for us. There's no point getting caught up in the meaningless ritualistic practices and all those, it seems a point where it baffles, so much of valuable, resources are used for these abhishekams and all that. At some stage, we can wisely use it to what he says, infinite forms. Shivam. Shivam means something which is auspicious, which is gracious. It's so auspicious, it is being said it's worth considering achieving it. It should be a human mission. They say a mission to Mars. I would say human mission is to achieve this auspicious goal, which is Brahman. And then he says, Prashantam, perfectly calm. Now, how do you achieve that state of that auspiciousness? Is to remain in a state of tranquility. Tranquility is a state of being in a sattvic state. So to make the mind free from agitations. So there's nothing as a perfect state or peace of mind. Peace of mind is best understood as US. How do you define happiness? Oh, celebrating birthday is happiness, huh? How would you describe happiness? Now she'll be very angry with me now.
Birthday, I was a lotus leaf in water.
Mama, very lotus leaf you are. Big lotus leaf.
How do you describe happiness? No agitations.
Correct. So happiness is described as cessation or a mind which is rid of agitations. So the less agitated you are, the more peaceful you are within. So agitation is a state. What state of mind is agitation? When a mind is agitated, what is the state of an agitated mind?
You're not calm.
It is a state of rajas, isn't it? Rajas is a state of mind, of mental agitation. Sattva is a state of mental tranquility or equanimity. So to keep the mind in a sattvic state is the means to attain what that auspicious, which is the goal. The goal, the human mission is to reach that state of Brahman. And how to reach that, he says, is through Shivam. Through Prashantam. Okay. Okay, US, something you have to say?
No.
So to remain calm, in any given situation, whether the situation is favorable or unfavorable, whether it brings along to you joy or sorrow, how to keep your mind calm. Okay. And then he says it is, now again, it can be used as a, Shivaji, this can be used as a, say, Shivaji has used the term sthita prajna. Ashama ko pata hai what sthita prajna means?
I was reading it this morning.
Oh, did you? Okay.
नहीं मिल रहा अभी.
No problem. Sthita prajna
is a state.
Is a state. Sthitaha means one who is established.
Established.
So sthita prajna means one who is firmly established in the truth, in the reality. So sthita prajna is talking about a state of a man of perfection.
A man of, yeah, is also described as one who has got a control of all his senses.
Yes, yes. So a man of perfection. Now, a man of perfection is one who is perfectly calm, isn't it? I'm just trying to understand the concept of perfectly calm. A man who is perfectly calm, he's reached a state of perfection. So that's the goal. So the same thing, the goal can also be converted into the path.
Being in bliss all the time.
Now, what is that state of bliss or happiness? A state of no agitation.
No agitation.
So if one tries to keep his mind in a state of no agitation, the path itself becomes the goal. So it can be used as an abhyasa. It can also be used as the goal, the mission to reach. So many a time it happens that way, the concepts. Okay, ma. Many a time these concepts come that the path and the goal are both the same. Okay. Right. So there are a few more, in fact, in the verse, in the mantra. What we have said, what we have read so far is inconceivable, achintyam, avyaktam, unmanifest, anantarupam, infinite forms, shivam, auspicious, prashantam, perfectly tranquil. The later half of the verse, the mantra, will come back and take next week. But as we have said, these are pointers So use these as pointers, use these as reminders so that you could reflect. You can be reminded of these ideas during the course of your mundane daily activities. So these come and break the monotony of your activity and help you to attune to the higher. These are the pointers. Okay. RPG, appreciate the effort of bringing in the lovely painting. It makes the whole place very beautiful. It was a little dull all the while. Now it's beautiful because of the painting. I'm giving credit to the painting only. Thank you, RPG. Thanks for your cooperation.
Yeah, the chief engineer actually did that. So, and thank the painter for that. So yeah.
I will only thank Vilima for that.
So
thanks, engineer. All right, we'll come back. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I think apologies, Gayatri Ma. She has an announcement to make before we conclude. Yes, Ma, please.
Yeah. Hari Om. That flyer, I'm not able to present it here. I'm not able to share that flyer, but I just want to announce it is our tradition where we salute our gurus on the auspicious occasion of Guru Purnima. Please join us in our celebration on the 10th of July at the Wisdom Institute. While we give our talk on the, while Guruji gives the talk on the fragrance of forgiveness. People who are outstation can also join on the Zoom link. Hari Om.
Yes, Hariji.
I have not yet got the real meaning of Adyanta Vihina Mekam, that particular expression, beginning, middle, and end. Probably in the next class, if you can explain.
We have not come there at all.
Okay.
I would be surprised if you got the meaning. So there's no surprise you not got, because we're not covered that. Because after Amrutam, Brahmayonim, and Adi Madhyanta Vihina Mekam, then comes. So we'll cover that the next week. Okay. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.